Welcome to the Literary Titan podcast. In every episode, we dive into a book we've just read and share our thoughts, from best-selling authors to rising literary stars. We read it. Now let's talk about it.
Ian Riley's Encounter is a memoir about an Australian Christian couple who go to Samoa in 1990 to teach at Leulumuega Fo College, then find themselves plunged into culture shock, institutional confusion, cyclone damage, scarcity, village life, classroom struggle, and morally wrenching encounters with the people around them. But that description is almost too tidy for the book Riley actually writes. What unfolds is less a neat missionary narrative than a long, bruising education in how little he knows, how quickly comfort evaporates, and how culture becomes legible only after it has first humiliated you. The early passport fiasco, the absurd misery of the seaside inn, the cyclone and its aftermath, the daily negotiations over water, food, heat, discipline, hospitality, and shame all accumulate into something larger than travel writing. It becomes a record of bewilderment, slowly turning into attention, and attention slowly turning into love. Riley has a real eye, and not just for beauty. He sees the gleam of lagoon water and mountain light, but also mildew, diesel fumes, mirror shards, cockroaches, centipedes, shabby classrooms, and the comic indignities of bodies trying and failing to cope with heat and fear. That balance matters. The prose is vivid without becoming ornamental, and funny in exactly the right places. I laughed at the Germans trying to open a coconut in the middle of the night, and I winced at the fan-forced oven of the seaside inn. But the humor never breaks the sincerity of the book. If anything, it deepens it. Riley's best passages have a kind of patient moral clarity. He doesn't rush to make himself look wise, and that gives the narrative its credibility. He lets his confusion stay on the page. He lets other people remain difficult to interpret. I found that restraint appealing because it makes the book feel lived rather than processed. I was even more taken by the book's ideas, precisely because they're unsettled ideas rather than packaged lessons. Riley keeps returning to the gap between judging and understanding, between romanticizing a culture and actually living inside its demands. The book is sharp about the limits of outsider perception, but it's not coy about hard moral questions either. The sections on classroom discipline, communal obligation, and especially Pelopia's story are painful because Riley refuses easy moral vanity. He is trying to think seriously, as a Christian and as a guest, about what compassion means when you don't control the social world you're in, and when intervention itself can be clumsy, partial, or damaging. I appreciated that the book doesn't confuse humility with moral passivity. Its compassion has weight to it. By the time Riley writes about suffering, shared scarcity, and the way disaster forces him into a more intimate understanding of dependence, community, and providence, the ideas feel earned rather than declared. I didn't agree with every theological or cultural framing, but I trusted the earnestness of the inquiry, and that trust carried me a long way. I found Encounter moving, unsettling, and unusually mature in its self-scrutiny. It's a book that understands that beauty and damage often occupy the same frame, and that cross-cultural love is rarely graceful at first. What stayed with me wasn't a single grand insight so much as the cumulative moral weather of the book. The embarrassment, the tenderness, the stamina, the slow relinquishing of certainty. I'd recommend it especially to readers interested in memoir, faith, teaching, development work, and the messy reality of cultural encounter, but also to anyone who values nonfiction that is thoughtful enough to let complexity remain complex. It's a thoughtful book, and I closed it feeling that Riley had not only remembered Samoa vividly, but had remembered his own unfinishedness with unusual honesty.
Thanks for joining us on the Literary Titan podcast. If today's review sparked your interest, be sure to pick up a copy of the book and experience it for yourself. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a rating, or share it with a fellow book lover. Until next time, keep reading, not just to escape, but to grow.